Hello, this is Unit 4b, Part 2, Flip Notes on Attitude Formation and Change in our unit on Social Psychology. My Bitmoji is with her squad because this section is all about the influence of those around you, including your squad. All right, so some things that affect our attitudes. First are stereotypes. So you know these terms, but a stereotype is a false assumption, often a wrong or negative false assumption, but a generalized belief about a particular group of people, which can lead to prejudice, which is an attitude. So a preconceived opinion or attitude about an individual or group, but it's usually based on the stereotype and often without a factual basis. And then all of that can lead to discrimination, which is the actual behavior or negative actions directed towards the individual group based on prejudice. So it starts with the false thoughts, which leads to the attitudes, and then that can lead to the negative behaviors. Some implicit attitudes that occur, these are all unconscious beliefs or feelings toward a group or individual. Sometimes you hear it referred to as implicit bias. Each of these we'll have another slide on, but the just world phenomenon, the out-group homogeneity bias, in-group bias, and ethnocentrism. The just world phenomenon is our belief that things in the world tend to make sense. So you believe that the world is fair, so people get what they deserve. And it's kind of a way that we tend to, again, implicitly or without thinking about it, justify social inequalities. So if you see somebody on the street who's homeless or unhoused, you think, well, that's probably what they deserve, that they're responsible for it, that they didn't want to work, or they're hooked on drugs. But maybe you don't know their whole story and that it is a series of unfortunate circumstances that led to that. So, but the problem with the just world phenomenon is it can leave people thinking that people deserve what they get, and then it reduces social support for policies that may change things. Out-group homogeneity bias. So homogeneity, homo is the prefix that means same. So it's the tendency to view members who are on the outside as more similar to each other than members of one's in-group. So this is kind of the opposite of an in-group bias, which will be our next one. But you think that the people on the outside are more similar. And that can lead to stereotyping. Like you think that all Asians are smart and automatically good at math. Or you believe that, I'm trying to say one that like won't offend too many people, but I'll stick with the Asian one since that's my ethnicity. But a person might perceive all members of a rival sports team as aggressive, despite variations in individual behavior and personality within the team. So out-group, you're not considering individuals, you just think that other group, they're all the same. The in-group bias is a tendency to favor your own group and assume that because they're your people, your group, that you're better. In some ways, this is good because it can enhance group cohesion. Group dynamics are more positive because you bond together, but it can also foster prejudice more against the out-groups. So employees may favor colleagues from their own department, but then they may exclude other people or undervalue other groups that may be giving good contributions. Ethnocentrism is the belief that one ethnic group is inherently superior to others. So involves judging other cultures by the standards of our own. So it's normal to compare other groups to yourself, but to automatically assume that your ethnic group is better just because it is your ethnic group can be ethnocentrism. So ethnocentrism can manifest in international business where managers impose their own cultural norms on foreign employees, leading to workplace tension and reduced productivity. The sign here, probably not, I don't know if it's the best picture, but the idea of like forcing people to only speak English in an area where there are lots of languages spoken. There's a level of respect that can be expected, but forcing people to not be able to use their native tongue could be an example of ethnocentrism. Our last couple concepts here are belief perseverance. So belief perseverance is when we tend to want to keep our beliefs And the key, and it's okay to be strong and hold on to beliefs, but this is when there's contradictory evidence that says, your beliefs might be wrong. And even though you're seeing contradictory evidence, you continue to keep that belief. One of the ways that we tend to do that is with confirmation bias, and that's where we only seek for information that is going to confirm our beliefs. And we tend to ignore other information that dismiss this. We see this a lot in politics, where people tend to only prefer maybe one news network or one social media outlet, because that tends to support their views, that you don't want to be wrong, so you just listen to people who all believe the same thing as you. Our last one is cognitive dissonance, which you should be familiar with because we've had this in a couple different units now. But cognitive dissonance is that tension that we feel when our actions don't align with our attitudes. So the way that we overcome that dissonance is that we can change our attitudes. We can be in denial, or we can rationalize things. The example of that we used previously was the idea of a smoking doctor, that the doctor knows that smoking is not healthy, but she continues to do it, saying that, it's not that bad, or in denial about it, or she could just quit. My picture here, someone saying that liars are bad people, but I just lied, but I'm not a bad person. So I either deny it or I can rationalize it, well, it's okay in this situation. So cognitive dissonance can lead to attitude change if you're trying to avoid the dissonance or the tension. All right, that's it for section 4.